Hello, I'm Asuma Katauka and you're watching another episode of Xplained with me. Today we discuss the Panama Canal. Panama's Supreme Court has annulled contracts allowing a Hong Kong-based company to operate container ports on the Panama Canal. The ruling comes a year after US President Donald Trump claimed China was operating the Panama Canal, the main shipping link between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, in his inaugural speech. CK Hutchison, holding through its subsidiary, the Panama Ports Company, or the PPC, has operated 2 of the 5 ports since the 1990s. It had previously agreed to sell them to a group led by a U.S. investment firm under a wider deal. The court found that laws allowing the firm to operate the ports were unconstitutional, but PPC said the ruling lacks legal basis. Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino has said that once the court's decision took effect, the ports would be leased out to new operators under terms and conditions that are favorable to Panama. Let's in fact listen into what Mulino has stated.
Me dirijo a ustedes en virtud del fallo del Pleno de la Corte Suprema de Justicia en relación a la inconstitucionalidad del contrato de concesión de las terminales portuarias de Balboa y Cristóbal operados por Panama Ports Company. Nuestros puertos son uno de los pilares estratégicos para la economía nacional y un eslabón clave para el comercio internacional. Esperamos que la empresa, miembros de Hutchison Port y filial del conglomerado multinacional CK Hutchison Holdings, con presencia global y celosa de su reputación corporativa, colabore abiertamente en esta etapa. Entre todas las gestiones, destacamos la realizada con APM Terminals Panamá, una subsidiaria del grupo AP Moller Maersk, quien ha mostrado disposición para asumir transitoriamente la operación de ambas terminales y que cuenta con la capacidad y experiencia necesaria.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in X that the United States was encouraged by the Panama Court's decision. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's government has said it firmly rejects the ruling. China has also said that it would take necessary measures to protect companies after the Panama ruling. Let's listen in.
相信你注意到，有关企业已经第一时间发表声明，表示该裁决有悖于巴拿马方面批准相关特许经营权的法律，企业将保留包括诉讼法律程序在内的所有权利。中方将采取一切必要措施，坚决维护中方企业正当合法。
Now, this comes as Trump made repeated claims that the Central American Canal is under Chinese control. During his address in January 2025, he said that China was operating the Panama Canal and that the United States did not give the canal to China. They gave it to Panama and that they will now take it back. The following month, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also demanded that Panama make immediate changes to what he called the influence and control of China over the canal. Panama has rejected the U.S. government's claims, with President Mulino asserting that the canal is and will remain under Panamanian control. While there is no public evidence to suggest China controls the canal, Chinese companies including CK Hutchison have a significant presence there. Hutchison, founded by Hong Kong's billionaire Li Ka-shing, is not owned by the Chinese government. However, Beijing's tighter political control over Hong Kong in recent years has changed how the company is viewed globally. Its assets, which include ports and logistics hubs, are now often seen through the lens of growing concerns about China's influence. Panama's Supreme Court has issued a statement stating that after extensive deliberation, it had determined the laws that underpin a concession contract between the state and the PPC at the Balboa and Cristobal ports were unconstitutional. In response, PPC argued that the ruling lacks a solid legal foundation and could put both its contract and the well-being of thousands of Panamanian families at risk. PPC stressed that it has invested more than $1.8 billion in infrastructure and technology since beginning operations at the ports in 1997, making it a crucial part of the economic stability in the region. Despite the court's decision, Panama's President Mulino stated that the country's ports will continue to operate without any disruption, maintaining the flow of essential services. But why is the Panama Canal so important? Up to 14,000 ships use the 51-mile Panama Canal each year as a shortcut between the Atlantic and the Pacific. The Panama Canal is an important waterway that handles roughly 3% of global seaborne trade. It revolutionized maritime shipping when it opened back in 1914, shortening journeys by removing the need to go around South Africa's Cape of Good Hope or through the Strait of the Magellan, a narrow passage on the tip of South America between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Around 75% of the cargo transiting through the Panama Canal is going to or coming from the U.S., making the country by far the biggest beneficiary of the route. From October 2023 to September 2024, China accounted for 21.4% of the cargo volume transiting the canal, making it the second largest user after the U.S. The canal operates through a series of locks which adjust the water level to facilitate the movement of vessels through the channel. The most recent expansion of the canal in 2016 added a third set of locks and doubled capacity. Now let us look at the history. What is the history of Panama Canal? Spanish explorer Vasco Núñez de Balboa first crossed the Isthmus of Panama in 1513, leading to further expeditions that returned with looted Incan gold and silver. Now in 1534, King Charles I of Spain ordered the first viability study for a canal, but deemed it impossible. The first major attempt to build a canal came in 1881, led by Ferdinand de Lesseps, the builder of the Suez Canal, but it ended in failure after over 20,000 workers died due to the disease. The United States became involved after the French effort collapsed. In 1903, the U.S. signed a treaty with Panama guaranteeing its independence from Colombia in exchange for the right to build and operate the canal. This deal included a payment of $10 million and an annual annuity of $250,000 for a 10-mile wide canal zone. The U.S. control over the canal sparked resentment in Panama and across Latin America. In 1977, then U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger warned of a backlash leading to the Torrijos-Carter treaties, which agreed to hand over control of the canal to Panama by the end of 1999. Today, the Panama Canal is still a major economic engine for the country, bringing in nearly $5 billion in fiscal 2024, which accounts for about 4% of Panama's GDP. Now, this new decision could disrupt CK Hutchison's plans to sell its global port interests to a consortium led by U.S. investment firm BlackRock and shipping group MSC in a deal worth staggering $22.8 billion. The sale was seen as a strategy by CK Hutchison to lower political risk in sensitive locations, while also generating funds from its valuable assets. The plans had garnered support from Trump, who praised the deal for potentially putting key assets under U.S. majority ownership. However, the Chinese government had voiced strong opposition, arguing that the sale did not align with China's national interests. Following the court's decision, the markets reacted quickly, with CK Hutchison's shares dropping 4.6% in Hong Kong trading, a significant blow to the company. The decline pushed down the Hang Seng Index by over 2%, highlighting the company's importance to the market and the growing concerns among investors about political risks associated with the deal. But does the court's decision mean that the control of the ports and the canal would go to the United States? A Panamanian government official disputed assertions. that American pressure had led to the court decision, noting that it stemmed from legal actions filed years earlier. Alberto Aleman Zubieta, a special advisor to President Mulino on port and logistics, has stated that the actions themselves reflect the normal operation of Panama's rule of law and the independence of its institutions, not pressure from any foreign government. And the ports in Panama may not end up under the control of the BlackRock Group or another American company if, as expected, CK Hutchison is forced to relinquish the ports. Panama may invite bids from around the world for the long-term contracts to operate them. During that process, another company would most likely operate them temporarily. To ensure the continuity of operations, APM Terminals Panama, a subsidiary of the Danish shipping giant Maersk, will temporarily manage the Balboa and Cristobal ports. The company stated that its aim is to mitigate any risks that could impact essential services for both regional and global trade, ensuring that commerce in the region remains uninterrupted. The court's ruling is likely to be interrupted as a setback by Beijing, which took greater interest in the controversy over the canal as relations between the United States and China deteriorated sharply last year over tariffs. Meanwhile, the U.S. holds significant economic leverage over Panama as its biggest trade partner and source of foreign direct investment. Only time will tell now whether the United States will control the operations of the Panama ports, or will the country open it up to other bidders as well. That's all for this episode of Xplained. Stay tuned as we bring you more in-depth insights and stories that matter.